The words hit like a hammer across the bright, glass-walled factory floor. Every engineer, technician, and executive froze as the furious CEO pointed toward a worn-out maintenance manual lying on a steel workbench. The humiliation was deliberate, loud enough for everyone to hear. The single father standing beside the machine lowered his eyes for a brief moment, not because he was ashamed, but because he knew something no one else in that room did. As he slowly reached for the manual and turned it over, the entire room fell silent. Printed clearly on the cover, just beneath the company logo, were the words, "Original Operating and Maintenance Guide by Adrian Mercer." The exhausted mechanic everyone had mocked was staring at a book carrying his own name. In that unforgettable moment, arrogance met truth, and an entire company was about to discover the cost of forgetting the people who built its success. Before we continue this emotional journey, if you believe kindness, respect, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who believes in never giving up, and subscribe to Kindness Corner for more inspiring stories that remind us humanity is still alive. Adrian Mercer had never imagined his life would be reduced to fixing broken conveyor belts while hiding the greatest chapter of his past. Every morning before sunrise, he prepared breakfast for his 8-year-old son, Owen, packed his school bag, and drove across the city to the manufacturing headquarters where he worked as a temporary maintenance technician. Years earlier, Adrian had been one of the brightest mechanical designers in the country. He had helped create the company's revolutionary production system, writing every technical procedure and safety guideline by hand. But when the company merged with a larger corporation, new executives erased old names from history. Departments were dissolved, credit disappeared, and Adrian quietly walked away after refusing to compromise on worker safety. Shortly afterward, tragedy struck when his wife passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him to raise Owen alone. Survival became more important than recognition. Bills replaced dreams, and overtime became the only way to keep food on the table. The new CEO, Victor Hale, was famous for impressive speeches and ruthless efficiency. He believed experience could be replaced by expensive software and flashy consultants. To him, maintenance workers were invisible people whose only purpose was fixing problems after executives created them. During a factory inspection on a bright Tuesday morning, a $1 million packaging machine suddenly shut down, freezing the entire production line. Engineers crowded around computer screens, consultants argued over complicated diagrams, and every passing minute cost the company thousands of dollars. Adrian quietly observed the blinking warning lights while tightening the strap on his worn toolbox. He recognized the pattern immediately because years ago he had personally designed the emergency override sequence. Instead of asking questions, Victor publicly dismissed Adrian, assuming a temporary worker couldn't possibly understand such advanced equipment. The CEO mocked him and shouted for him to stop guessing and read the manual before touching anything. Workers exchanged uncomfortable glances as Adrian calmly picked up the thick manual lying nearby. Dust covered its edges, proving no executive had opened it in years. When Adrian flipped it over, the room noticed the name printed beneath the title. Faces turned pale. Senior employees who had worked there decades earlier slowly remembered the quiet engineer who had once stayed overnight solving impossible problems without asking for applause. Even Victor's confidence cracked as realization spread through the factory. Adrian gently opened the first pages, not because he needed instructions, but because he remembered writing every sentence. His fingers stopped on a page describing an emergency sequence no consultant had noticed. Within minutes, he followed the exact procedure, reset a hidden mechanical lock, and restored the production line. The deafening silence that followed was quickly replaced by the sound of machines roaring back to life. Hundreds of employees applauded spontaneously, not because they had witnessed a technical repair, but because they had seen humility defeat arrogance in broad daylight. News traveled faster than anyone expected. Factory workers shared the story with their families. Retired employees confirmed Adrian's forgotten contributions. Old photographs surfaced showing him standing beside the very machines everyone now depended upon. Local newspapers published features about the unknown engineer whose work had powered the company for years without recognition. Customers praised the integrity of the man who had chosen honesty over revenge. Adrian never celebrated publicly. After finishing his shift, he simply picked up Owen from school, listened to stories about homework during the drive home, and helped him build a small model airplane at the kitchen table. For Adrian, those quiet moments mattered far more than headlines. Victor Hale found himself unable to sleep. Every board meeting reminded him of the mistake born from judging people by uniforms instead of character. He finally visited Adrian's modest home one sunny afternoon, not with cameras or reporters, but carrying only a sincere apology and an offer to restore his position as chief systems architect. Adrian accepted only after receiving written guarantees that every factory employee, regardless of title, would be treated with dignity and that experienced workers would once again help train future engineers. His victory was never about a promotion. It was about protecting the values he believed every workplace should have. As months passed, the factory transformed. Managers spent time learning directly from technicians. Safety improved dramatically. Employee satisfaction reached record levels. Young engineers discovered that true innovation begins with listening, not commanding. Owen proudly visited the factory one school holiday and smiled as workers greeted his father with genuine respect instead of silent indifference. That simple smile reminded Adrian why he had endured every difficult year. Success was never measured by wealth or titles. It was measured by the example a father left for his child. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that every person deserves respect regardless of their position, please like this video, share it with someone who needs this message today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner so together we can spread more stories of hope, kindness, and second chances. Special request: comment below with respect costs nothing if you believe no one should ever be judged by their job title. As the sun shone brightly over the factory on another ordinary day, Adrian looked across the busy production floor filled with people working together instead of against one another. The manual that had once been ignored now rested inside a glass display case near the entrance, not as a technical document, but as a reminder that the greatest inventions are often created by the quietest people. And every employee who walked past it learned the same unforgettable lesson. Never underestimate the person holding the toolbox, because sometimes the name on the cover is the same name that built the future.